Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are doing a bit of an investigation, because one of the things that, well, A, people have been asking, and B, I've been wondering myself, is with the fuel smokes. Does it make sense to take the Mistweaver skill on the captain? I know this is relatively specific, but with the Italian battleships having longer lasting fuel smokes, I think it's an interesting question to be answered. So let's have a look at the factors that we have in play here. We'll be using the Lepanto because the Lepanto has the longest lasting fuel smoke that is currently in the game. So let's have a look at that. The Lepanto gets the fuel smoke 3, and it says it sets a fuel smoke screen during 20 seconds with a 60-second base cooldown. Obviously you can take it with you, but what does that actually mean, it sets a smoke? So the way that smoke screen generators appear to be working in game is that they are there's a time during which the smoke generator is active and emits puffs of smoke. This is true both for fuel smokes and regular smokes. And then there's a dissipation time for these puffs of smoke. So each individual puff of smoke then dissipates within a given amount of time until it is gone. So for 20 seconds, the fuel smoke generator creates puffs of smoke, which is why you can take it with you, because it literally just makes more puffs of smoke as you keep going. A regular smoke screen, let's have a look at something. Let's take American destroyers. Let's take the Fletcher and see what that thing can do. So that's a smoke screen 2. So that sets a smoke screen in 11 seconds, so about half the time. But the smoke screen is then active for 32 seconds. So that is the time it actually takes, and this is the little countdown timer you will see in game, the time that it actually takes for the smoke, the individual smoke puffs to dissipate. So if you're sitting in the last puff, you should have it probably for 43 seconds all in all, from when you started setting a smoke initially until the point when the smoke screen is dissipating. So let's take that out again. That is the one factor. So this is how the fuel smoke works. The second factor that is of interest here is the Mistweaver skill. Now, what does the Mistweaver skill give us? It says the smoke generator skill duration is up by 15%. Now, what the heck does that mean? It probably means exactly what it says. It means that the skill being active, so the smoke emitting part being active, is lasting 15% longer. So I would assume that the smokes, that given that it sets a smoke screen for 20 seconds, it would be, I don't know, 22 seconds, 22 and a half seconds with as the duration it actually emits the smoke. So a little bit longer, not much. Because the fuel smoke doesn't actually last longer. I think with the regular smoke, it also affects the time that the smoke actually dissipates. So this may be just affecting the dissipation time and not the actual production time of the smoke, in which case we wouldn't see much of an impact during the fuel smokes. But this is why we're testing these things. It also increases the smoke screen radius. Is that important? Not for a fuel smoke really, because for a regular smoke, it means that you're covering more ground. So if you're using, it's harder to blind fire you because you can be anywhere inside the smoke, and you can use it more probably, to hide your teammates if that's something that you're trying to do. But I think it's not a huge factor here. And the third one is a minus 33% cooldown for the consumable. Now, once again, the Lepanto has 2 fuel smokes. So instead of a 60-second cooldown, I would assume somewhere around a 40-second or slightly under 40-second cooldown until we can use the fuel smoke again. So let's look at it. So what I've done is I've taken the Lepanto out once with the skill and once without the skill, and then I've measured the frames, pretty much the time in the frame. So because I do have the video footage, just to see how long this actually works. So let's take a look at that. So in a second here, and there the timer starts. So I have now pressed the button and the fuel smoke is emitting. And you can see that the skill is timing down. And you can also see the little red counter up in the upper left side of the screen where the fuel smoke is dissipating. So these puffs are dissipating quite quickly, but we keep generating new ones. And I will retain the times, and then we'll see how much we get. So we've got a 22.34 second duration and a 60-second cooldown on the skill. So let's do the exact same thing again, but this time with the Mistweaver skill. So once again, we are timing this, and I have timed it from the beginning when I press the button till the dissipation timer has counted down. There might be still a bit more smoke left because I'm not 100% sure how accurate that is, but I've measured it the same way in both times. So until the last frame, when that little red timer up there is counting down. So the one thing we see, the cooldown is definitely affected, but it is running longer, but not by much. It's less than a second that it actually runs longer with the Mistweaver skill active. So what does that tell us in the end? Let's look back at the ship. So that tells us sort of two things. First of all, I found it very interesting that without the Mistweaver skill, the fuel smoke was actually running longer than I would have expected. Because, well, it makes sense if it has about a 3-second... It looked like it's round about a 2 to 3 second time of dissipation. And it looks like what has been increased with that skill is the time of dissipation and not necessarily the time of actually having the skill running. Which means that with using this skill on the Lepanto, what we get is a under 1 second more of fuel smoke, which means it's marginal. It's effectively not making a difference in practice. And this is a very long-lasting fuel smoke. The effect is going to be even smaller on the fuel smokes that are much shorter than this. So like on the cruisers and on the lower tier battleships. The biggest impact here that we have is pretty much the only impact here that we have that counts is the reduction in cooldown time. So with this skill active, we can use the second fuel smoke, because we only have 2 on the Lepanto. We can use the second fuel smoke again after 40 seconds. So we've saved 20 seconds on this cooldown, which given how useful the fuel smoke can be occasionally a very important factor, that you literally find yourself in a situation where you should be using a fuel smoke again after 40 seconds, and without the skill, you're still having 20 seconds on the cooldown and can't quite use it yet. And what we need to look at, though, are the alternatives, because we are paying a price for using this skill, because there are 2 more very useful skills in here. First of all, the Extinguisher skill, which especially on an Italian battleship, which has a pretty dreadful fire flooding resistance, is not a bad skill to have, because it reduces the damage taken from fire, which in absolute numbers is going to be larger in a battleship because you're just going to take more damage from fires. The other alternative is the Adrenaline Rush, which when you are low on hit points, reduces the reload time both on your main battery and your secondaries and your auto secondaries. That is also a very good skill to have, especially if you're in some form of brawling situation and you are on relatively low health, then you have a slightly faster damage output. So I would say in summary, going forward, I will probably not be using the Mistweaver on the fuel smokes, because the only effect that you really get out of it is the cooldown. And unless a ship has a large amount of fuel smokes, I think there are ships, I think the Cossack, let me have a look. I'm not sure if I actually have the Cossack here, but premium destroyers, yeah, there she is. Okay, let's have a look at this thing. Not a ship you see very frequently, but that thing's got 6 fuel smokes. So obviously, if you are here, the Mistweaver makes sense, right? Not because it would actually extend the time. It does, but the amount of time it extends is so marginal that you're really not going to see any big impact on that. It's a sub-second amount of time, and that was on a higher level fuel smoke. I don't know if the same dissipation timer sits on the lower level ones as well, possibly, because it didn't seem to be affecting the time that the skill was actually running. So the cooldown though, having a 40-second cooldown with 6 fuel smokes is a different story. Whereas on something like the Lepanto, or in general on the Italian battleships, I would probably not be doing that. Like if we look at the, let's see, who's getting a fuel smoke? You're getting a fuel smoke. Like the Francesco Caracciolo, she would get 2 fuel smokes. And it's a hefty price to pay by not getting either Adrenaline Rush or the fire prevention skill. So I probably, especially on a battleship, would be picking one of those instead. And even on a cruiser, I might be tempted to more go for the Adrenaline Rush than going there. So that's that. And I hope that can help you a bit with making these kind of decisions for your captain builds when it comes to fuel smokes. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.